Well, today we're going to talk about don't just exist, live. And this is day 18 out of the Unstuck book by Kimberly Jones. You can get that on Amazon if you so desire. You don't need the book to go through this with me, but I would highly recommend it. And you could write notes in it. It's not a journal book, but there's spaces at the end of each area to write notes. So some blank areas. And you can use a notebook like me and jot down your thoughts. So anyway, what are we going to talk about today? Don't just exist, live. Well, I've been teaching entry-level paralegals. Here, let me get this over here, sorry. Entry-level paralegals for 7 years, but I've been mentoring paralegals for, gosh, I would say approximately, it's over 30 years that I've been mentoring, probably 33 years. I've mentored people. I remember working in a law firm with an attorney from the first law firm I worked with, who left that law firm to open his own practice. And I happened to stop in to say hello to everybody at the first law firm. I was on friendly terms with them. And so I stopped in one day. I think the paralegal and I had lunch together. That's what it was. And so the attorney that I had worked with closely came up to me and privately, and he said, you know, could we meet for lunch sometime, because I don't know if you know it, but I'm leaving this firm. And I said, I didn't know. And so we met for lunch, and he asked me what it would take to bring me on to that law firm. Would I want to leave where I am? And I said, yes, I would, to do that for sure, because I enjoyed working with him. So we ended up working out a deal salary-wise, and I went to his law firm and helped him establish that, as far as setting up the office and all that. And so it was really not a coincidence that I had lunch with that paralegal that day, and then he approaches me. God had this plan worked out for that day. I firmly believe that. And it was meant that, first of all, we were both, I'm a born-again Christian. This guy, his attorney, was a born-again Christian. He had a very ethical way that he ran his law firm, with ethics, high ethics, and high integrity, okay? So my question for you is, the number one question is, how is your relationship with God right now? And I'm going to quote a verse to you. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, which is Jesus, that whosoever believeth should not perish but have everlasting life. Now that is a foundation that you would build your life on, your beliefs. And then you go from there. So that's the most important step you'll take today, is, do you know Jesus as your Savior? And then you go from there. If no, today's the day of your salvation. That's what the Lord says in his word. So you accept his gift of salvation. Now, after that, now you've got a foundation. After that, you're building on the foundation. He has, in Jeremiah 29:11 says, he has a plan and a purpose for your life. And his thing is, he doesn't want to harm you. He wants to prosper you. So my question for you is, what are you qualified to do? Sit down with a notebook, and if you have one in front of you right now, or just grab something to write on, and put down what you're qualified to do right now. Brainstorm and write as many ideas that are coming into your head right now. not regarding the legal field, but just what you're qualified to do. If you've worked in, I'll help you with some of that. If you've worked in retail, you're probably qualified to wait on people, whether it's it could be retail in clothing or in a department store or Walmart or a convenience store. You've waited on a lot of people. That is a strong qualification for the legal field. Oh yes, believe me. You've handled a lot of problems with customers. Only in the legal field we call them clients. And so that serves you well if you have that experience. If you've worked as a cashier, do you think you're unqualified for the legal field? Oh no, you've waited on a lot of people. So don't think that there's nothing that makes you qualified for the legal field, okay? Write some of these out. And I'm trying to give you some insight into the legal field and how some of your qualifications fit. Now, as far as technical skills, yes, you have to have them. Because, you need to be better than basic in Word, Microsoft Word. Better than basic, okay? So learn some new skills in that. If you go into my Paralegal Resource Hub, you'll see that there's some interesting things in there. Go to paralegalcoffeetalk.com and look for the tab Paralegal Resource Hub. That's free. And go look in there. There are videos there, but there's another help in there that you might be interested in. So let's talk about, instead of just existing in how you're living your life right now, how can you change that? What is the thing that you're stuck in? I'm going through this book called Unstuck by Kimberly Jones. And I'm going through it with you, okay, for myself as well as you. Are you stuck in a dead-end job? Are you fearful of entering the paralegal field because you feel unqualified? Everybody that begins this career feels a bit like an imposter, okay? Because we don't know what the day-to-day is like, and if we're going to fit in, and if we're going to make it, and will we fail? That's for any career you go into, but you've got to move forward in spite of all that and just see what happens. So now here's a big one. Are you seeking after your purpose? Google Jeremiah 29:11 and read that. Are you going after your purpose, or did you Google the salaries for paralegals and you saw something like $50,000 or $60,000 a year and your eyes were popping out of your head and you thought, oh, that's for me. I want to burst that bubble a minute or permanently, okay? Nobody usually starts at that salary. You've got to gain a lot of experience before you even come close to that type of salary. I had a student of mine say, but I have to make that salary because I just, I was making that salary, and then they downsized and now wanted to transition into the paralegal field making that same salary. That does not occur, because even if you have a lot of experience in management, my husband, for instance, I'll give you that as an example. He was a chemical engineer, and he was overseeing, this is a true story, overseeing 200 people as a manager in the plant that he worked in. The position he rose to, there's an ending to this, okay? The position he rose to was like the position that you dream of when you're a chemical engineer student, because it just is exciting, and you get to not just managing people, but you're also managing processes, chemical processes that can be exciting. It depends on what kind of company you're working for. So then one day a big car maker company bought the division. Well, they wanted to buy the division that my husband was in from another huge company that owned that division. And so this big car maker wanted to know what they would sell that division for, of course. So what the powers that be in the company that owned that, they let go of my husband and a lot of people so that the, how can I say, like the profit would look better because they got rid of all those salaries. Yeah, business, that's how it works. And so at 28 years into the company, my husband all of a sudden was flailing around without a connection to his career. And in 1995, we moved to Florida from Oklahoma so that our daughter could get in-state tuition and get our family all together. And we rented a house. It was like a house of cards. We lost everything except ourselves. And then you're like, oh, that's happened to me too. Well, yeah, it's happened to a lot of us. And let's fast forward. If he had wanted to go into the legal field and started interviewing as a newbie, he had no legal experience. If he went from, and sent his resume out, then how is he going to help the attorney? See, that's what the attorney looks at. How could he help the attorney? Now, with my coaching, I could have helped him with that. But that's the question. How, coming from a different career, are you going to help the attorney? Or even with a 2-year degree or certificate, how are you going to help the attorney? And you're thinking, well, they're going to train me to help. No, they're not. You might have a paralegal answer some questions for you, but they don't run a school. So you have to get out of that mindset and you have to learn a lot on your own. Whether you go to school or not, you have to learn the practical side of being a paralegal and what we do every day. So don't think that going into this career, they're just going to give you a paycheck for 50 grand a year. They're not. So that's fantasy. Get in reality that you have to earn that. How? When you start in a position and then you gain experience, then you can command more money. You trade up. Okay? So, is it doable? Totally doable. I did it. Every single person who entered the legal field, if they're smart, they trade up. I've known people to stay in the same job for 17 years. Honestly, there's no awards given out for that. There's just no awards given out. Now, if that law firm has a 401k and you're building a retirement fund, there's something to be said for that. But a lot of law firms or legal workplaces don't even have that in place. They'd be smart if they did, but a lot of them just don't have that. So it's important to, if you're being pulled to this career because you like or you love the thought of being in the legal field and you've investigated what paralegals do every day, I have a video about that on Paralegal Career Mastermind. Just search for that on YouTube. What do we do every day? And it's also, I do some day in the life in my book, Legal Break-In. So go to Amazon. You can go to my website, paralegalcoffeetalk.com, and click on the Legal Break-In tab, and you'll see a table of contents, okay? Don't just live. Don't just exist or live without a purpose. It's important that if this is the field for you, that it is definitely your purpose, or you feel like it could be. I wasn't sure when I entered. I absolutely was not sure. Okay? I needed to just go try it. What was the worst that could happen? I would find out that that was not the career for me. I was thinking about the medical office and maybe being a physician's assistant eventually. I looked at that and I thought, That's a possibility. Or I would go into the legal field. And I tried visiting with an agency, and they told me they couldn't place me because I didn't have experience. And I'm not recommending agencies, but I'm saying that one told me that they could not place me. And I really didn't believe that. I thought, how is that possible? How do people get in? Everybody who gets in starts with zero experience. So take that thought and throw it out. It's really, really how you present yourself. And that cover letter is a sales tool. It's not an intro to your resume. Don't use it as that. And forget, I used to say I have a strong work ethic and I'm detail oriented. You know what? They expect that. I had to dig down deep and say much more than those, those words to them. That they would just glaze over, I'm sure, when they read my, first 3 or 4 years as a legal assistant, paralegal, that when I would send out resumes, I'm sure I didn't get callbacks when I moved to Florida. For 3 weeks, I didn't hear anything, and I was panicking because I had to bring in money to pay the mortgage. I was the sole breadwinner at that time. So it was important that I figured that out. And I figured that out, and that's why I put that module in my membership of Cover Letter Secrets. So I will be launching that in a couple weeks, so stay tuned. And this weekend on the website under Accelerator, that's the membership, I will post the price per month. So I just haven't gotten to that yet. I'm doing other things to get ready to launch that. Don't just exist. Overcome those mountains, those barriers, the things that are stopping you. So what are you qualified to do? Write that down. And then put another sentence, say, what is stopping me? And write down those things that you think are stopping you. And let's break through those barriers together. And join me when I launch that membership, okay? And again, it's called Accelerator, and you can go read about it on the website, but investigate the whole website, paralegalcoffeetalk.com, because there's a lot there to help you. And get out of your own head, and that's a big part of it. Stop overthinking. You have to dive in order to find out if it's for you or not. And you're not a failure if you decide, I don't really like this. Okay, so Google paralegal duties and put different types of law. I'll give you some hints. Paralegal duties in personal injury law, paralegal duties in business law, paralegal duties in estate, that's ESTATE, planning law. That's where you do wills and trusts and power of attorney, that kind of thing. What else can we say? Paralegal duties in workers' compensation law. You can look at some ads that are already out there for jobs and figure out what type of law they're working in, and then Google paralegal duties in whatever law you just found out about, okay? That will tell you whether this is for you or not. Now, the book I wrote, Legal Break-In, that is for people who are looking at their career for the first time. It's not for people already in the field, okay? Books about the legal field, once you're in, well, there are things out there, definitely. One of my acquaintances, Lynn Devenny, Devenny, I think it is, with her attorney, wrote a wonderful book for paralegals on workers' compensation law, and that is on Amazon. Just look up her name, Lynn, and then Devenny. I don't remember her attorney's name, but her last name is Devenny. And that is it for today. The verse today in Acts 17:28. For in him we live and move and exist. As some of your own poets have said, we are his offspring. So, you know, it used to be that, you know, when we were growing up, we had restrictions and boundaries and all of that to keep us safe. But some of those, as in my family, were to keep me from just finding out what my purpose was. And I had to break free of that so that I wasn't in the dead end job, or a job that didn't use all of my abilities or all of my creativity as well. So I'm a really good problem solver. That in some jobs maybe wouldn't show up, but in the legal field, oh, it showed up. And the attorneys would rely on me to solve a lot of things, okay? So I was definitely in my purpose. I was in my purpose in running a restaurant. I owned a restaurant. I'm a Chinese chef. I went to Toronto to train. I ran a plant nursery. I love plants. I've created some huge gardens where I live now. I know a lot about plants. So that is part of my purpose. You know, creating delicious food, creating gardens, and working in the legal field. So don't let anybody stymie you, keep you back, put boundaries around you. You know, there's freedom in following your purpose. So do that for yourself. Don't let anybody, the naysayers, keep you from doing that. But our ultimate purpose is to reflect him. Have that foundation of knowing Jesus as your Savior, and you'll never be the same. Your life doesn't just happen. It takes you stepping out. And step out with fear running alongside you. Don't let that stop you. Fear will always be there, but it doesn't have to, you know, monitor your life and rule your life. Just keep on moving forward. Break free of that restriction or the boundary around you, the wall around you. I have to make sure I will follow his purpose at every turn. When I'm not following his purpose, I'm not happy. And so keep going. If this is the career you think is for you and you feel that, then keep going. And the fear, well, if you're procrastinating, it's rooted in fear. So fear is something we as humans experience. Just keep on going and give it to him. Give that fear to the Lord and trust him that he has your best interests at heart. And pray over everything that he'll direct you to the right place to work. And when you have to put the effort in yourself, though, okay? And you have to do the right things so that when you go and you're accepted you're asked to come to an interview, that you're asking questions so you know that that is the right place, okay? And I teach that in my membership. So stay tuned for that launch. It's coming up in 2 weeks. I'll put the date this weekend and the price per month on that page, Accelerator, on my website, paralegalcoffeetalk.com. So have a wonderful day today. Tomorrow, let me tell you what we're going to talk about in the Unstuck book is forgive yourself. And we'll go forward with that. See you tomorrow morning. Have a great day. Take care. Bye.